So for the next practice, now that we have kind of done a little body scan, I wanted to move into more of a guided imagery type of meditation. The reason that I think guided imagery can be really good is that it helps you check into the senses that you have without actually needing to use them. And when we do that, it gives us an opportunity to kind of be really focused on that. And typically, we avoid uncomfortable sensations automatically with our brain. So as you're doing the guided imagery, you can kind of only feel the good sensations that you're looking for. So I thought we'd just start with something that a lot of people can relate to. Ones that I've done in the past are like forest or beach scenes. I think that the one we're going to do today is going to be the forest, just because I find nature really calming. I think a lot of times when we pick nature scenes, that can be a really good way to especially enjoy it, especially when like outside right now it's so cold. Sometimes just going to like a safe place or a happier space in your mind can really help take you out of whatever current discomfort you're feeling. So definitely, if this is helpful, go back to that spot on your own and just experience it. So we'll just start off today by imagining. If you want to imagine somewhere specific, you can. You can also imagine somewhere more general. But we're going to go to a forest. So however you want to get there, whatever you need to bring, think about that. Maybe you want to grab your car keys and get in your car. Maybe you just walk there. Maybe it's really close. Maybe you magically teleport. However you get there is okay. But you're there, and you're there for as long as you want to be, and you have everything you need. And as you come to the edge of the forest, you can choose to go on your own trail or the beaten path, whatever you want. And as you start walking through the forest, I want you to start listening. What does the forest sound like? Maybe you hear some birds, or the wind in the trees. Maybe a pine cone is falling. Just listen, see what you can hear. And as you continue walking and you continue listening to the sounds of the forest, you follow whatever path you chose, and you start to notice that the sun is coming down through the trees and creating like this beautiful ripple effect on the forest floor. I just want you to watch the way the sunbeams come down through the forest for a moment. And are they kind of dancing, or is it still? Is the sun really bright, or is it more dull? You might notice a really strange noise in the forest, and that's just my pets drinking out of their water bottle. And they'll stop soon. Hopefully. And once you notice the sun on the ground, as you continue walking, you start to feel it on your skin. You start to feel the forest. Maybe you feel the sun on your skin. Maybe you feel a cool breeze. Maybe you notice that there is some bark that you want to feel with your fingers. Maybe you're wearing shoes. Maybe you're not. You just keep walking. And as you keep walking through the forest, you're getting deeper and deeper. And you realize that the smell of the forest is really strong. And in a good way. It really is enveloping you. I want you to think about what kind of smells you're smelling in the forest. Maybe some kind of pine or redwood. Or maybe it's more like birches and fall and rotting leaves, and maybe it's about to rain. Can you smell the rain? What kind of smells do you smell? Then we keep walking a little bit further, and we notice some other things that we see in the forest along the way. Maybe you see some wildlife. Think about what kind of wildlife you might see. Do you want to stop and watch it for a little bit? Do you want to keep going? Hopefully the wildlife is friendly. And as we keep going into the forest, we find kind of a clearing. And in the middle of the clearing, there is this really old, large stump or log or some kind of wood. And we go up to the wood and maybe we stand on it. We notice the shape of the rings, how long that tree had been there. Maybe you kind of feel like you are the tree now, that you're standing on top of that. And you can look around. Maybe you see some clouds up ahead now, up above now that you see through the clearing. Maybe you notice some different plants now that they can get sun. And when you're ready, we can go a little bit further into the forest. You can choose a new trail. Maybe there's several coming off the clearing. And we'll follow that trail into the woods. Once we're a little ways in, I want you to look up. What do you notice is different about looking up in the trees versus the clearing? What do you see up in the branches? Are you in a typical North American kind of woods? Are you somewhere that has all kinds of jungle life, like monkeys and toucans? What do you hear? Can you see the things that you can hear? Can you feel them? And once we've looked up and we've seen all of the bigger things, I want you to look down at your feet. I want you to try to notice something really small. What's on the forest floor? Is it a pine needle? Is it an ant? Is there a string of ants? What do you see? Is there a footprint? I want you to find something really interesting and just study it for a minute. And when you feel ready to move on, you can stand up again if you were sitting. And you can hear in the distance something that you didn't notice before. You can hear some sort of water. Maybe it's a waterfall that you can hear, kind of a rushing sound. Maybe you can hear a small creek kind of bubbling. Maybe you can hear something more like a hot spring. Maybe the water is a little bit still, but still has moments of bubbles. I want you to follow that sound. And if you want to move your body in a different way than you have this whole time, you don't have to walk. You can run, you can skip, whatever feels good. Everything you're wearing is working. Everything you have is what you need, and you're just gonna go. And once you get to the water, I want you to have some sort of experience with the water. Maybe you feel it. Is it hot or cold? Stick your hands in. Maybe you even go for a swim. Maybe you dunk your head. However you feel the water. Do you feel it pouring over you? Do you feel it as you stick your hand in it? Does it smell different? And we're just going to spend a little bit of time here experiencing the water. And when you feel like you've got a really good sense of that area and what it's like, you realize that your stomach is rumbling and it's time for lunch. So you get out your pack, you lay down a towel or a blanket, or maybe you just sit right on the forest floor. And you open your lunchbox, and in it is your favorite foods that you packed. Maybe you have a lot of food, maybe you just have a little food. And you've got some sort of beverage, maybe you're drinking straight from the waterfall. And you just sit there and you enjoy your favorite picnic lunch. And once you've had the main portion of your meal, if you want to, if you've got dessert, you can eat that too. Just imagine the texture of the food, the taste, the flavor, maybe the temperature of the food. And when you're finished, you can pack that up and put it back in your bag, which is now a little bit less heavy. And at this point, you can look around one more time, and you can either stay at the waterfall or water as long as you want, or you can choose to go back. You can choose a new path to head back, or you can go back on the one we trailed before. And as you find some kind of closure with our hike today, you can come back to the room a little bit by noticing what you're sitting on or laying on. And if you want to, you can wiggle your fingers and toes a little bit. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and you can come back to where we're at right now. And just take a moment to notice how you feel now that we've taken a whole hike. Thanks for joining me. You can go back to that hike anytime. If you want, I'll be there with you. You can also always come back to this. It's always posted afterwards. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you all have a lovely rest of your Sunday and a great start to your week.
I love you all so much. Have a good night.